You know where you are?
This is Appetite for Distortion.
Welcome to the podcast, Appetite for Distortion, episode number 422. My name is Brando. Coming up in a moment, the great Paul Rodgers, of course, from Bad Company and Free, Paul Rodgers and Queen. He has a new solo album out. It is called Midnight Rose. It is fantastic, and it's not just about the album. It is the health hurdles he's had to overcome. He's since publicly gone. He's since gone public with all the strokes that he's had, and he wasn't able to speak for a long time. So to put out an album and to have him sound as good as ever is quite miraculous. And we're going to be joined by his wife, Cynthia Kereluk. She, former Miss Canada 1984, fitness guru, very famous fitness guru, and exercise videos were all the rage. So she's going to be joining Paul as well, and what I thought was going to be just 5 minutes with them. Hey, let's talk about the album, get my Guns N' Roses question out. You've been doing interviews long enough this morning. Well, they took a liking to me, or probably more so Harrison Rex, Baby Brownstone. So that's why they were awesome. So without further ado, Paul Rodgers and his wife Cynthia.
Tell me your baby's name.
His name is Harrison, named after George, even though he's currently wearing a John Lennon Imagine onesie.
Hello, Harrison. How are you?
Hey, see Paul Rodgers?
No, he's smiling. Yeah, hello.
So I appreciate this time you're giving me, and his co-host name is Baby Brownstone. That's his, because it's a Guns N' Roses themed podcast, and he'll come up with his own when he's ready.
He's laughing.
He is laughing, and a microphone rattle.
Smile. He's got a crooked.
He's got his own microphone. Baby Brownstone. Okay, his name is his on-air name.
He likes that.
Baby Brownstone.
I know. Some people think I named him Brownstone. No, not after a house, not after the song about heroin. Because the truth, Cynthia and Paul, because I'm here with my wife who's ready to take him in case if he starts freaking out.
Okay.
Because I work in radio, as you know. We worked today and yesterday with Premier Networks. You're promoting your new album, Midnight Rose. And I get to play the role of tour producers. And you're going around from station to station, metaphorically speaking, because you're home, I'm home. We have a list of stations to go to. Each person has 10 minutes. I got to keep them on time. Making sure everyone sounds good. It's recorded. I edited the interview later for our prep site. But since we're at home now, or I'm working at home since the pandemic, and I have this guy, and my wife had to go to work the past 2 mornings. I appreciate, this is a long way of saying thank you for your patience.
you were wonderful. Absolutely.
You were wonderful. You did a great job.
Great job. Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you. It was a challenge to do all this and also take care of a 5-month-old at the same time, but we did it. That segues me into, because I have a unique experience of hearing all of your interviews. Did you mention that your grandchildren are on the new album, right?
We did. Yes, we did.
So in what capacity, and how old are they?
Well, they're very young. Well, there's a teenager. How old is he?
17.
Oh, he's 17 now. Wow, time flies. He's a great big lad as well, isn't he? Sonny. We've got Bodhi. He's 10. And Uma
is 8.
And they're all doing wonderful. And they're all on the album. They're not singing. They're actually, their laughter is used. Because we have we have like a party atmosphere at the end of Dance in the Sun. We wanted to build it up into a party atmosphere. So we recorded them laughing without their knowledge, to be honest. So we wanted to be honest laughter, and it's lovely it's so joyful to hear kids laughing.
You can't listen to that and not smile.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I love that. And that's part of why I'm incorporating. So he will have this later, but that reminds me of what aeroplane for the Chili Peppers. Flea had his daughter's like kindergarten class at the end where they're all kind of singing the chorus, and that's forever. That's forever.
Yeah.
So that's a great gift. So your grandchildren and even your kids who I know are older and you're still putting out music to this day, do they look at you as dad, rocker dad, or they look at you like boring old dad? Oh, he's doing his rock thing again. How do your kids and grandkids look at you?
Well, the grandkids they're not really affected too much. I'm very much GD, aren't I? Granddad. They call me GD.
GD.
Yeah, GD. And
although they've been to concerts and they've actually walked him off stage.
Oh, I know. And they actually,
which was very
they
sweet.
took this job very seriously.
They did.
I'm there waving, and they were like yanking me off the stage. You're coming off.
GD, you're done now. Come on, you're ours. I think he's got 3 children. And eldest daughter is Natalie, stay-at-home mom, and then Stephen and Jasmine are both musicians. And they revere him, they respect him, they look to him for guidance in their musical careers. Even with their music, when they're creating, they'll come to Paul, to Dad, and ask him questions. So they revere him, actually.
Oh, do they, sweetie?
Oh, well, absolutely.
But they're very much their own people, I don't try. Oh, yeah. I will guide them if they ask for advice, but I don't try to stuff it down their throats because, they tried to put me in the steelworks, and I went, no, not going there. Because the music meant so much to me. I didn't want to be in a working like factory environment, and
not creative for songwriting.
Yeah, and I'd heard all this American music going on, and I loved it, and that's what I wanted to do, and so I followed that. I've always followed the music. That's what I've done. That's been the story of my life, basically.
Well, even now with the new album.
Yeah.
Yes. What is the name of the song that pays tribute to all those American artists that you love, right?
It's Living It Up, actually. Yeah. Todd and I wrote that song. He sent me the music and said, can you write some lyrics to this? I don't know what it's about. It's like, he wrote this great set of, this composition, basically. And I put lyrics to it, and it developed into the song that became sort of my story. I was in Middlesbrough, Steeltown. I moved down to London, and then I moved to New York with Bad Company. And I was in London. I was with Free, and then I was with Bad Company in America. And all the time in the background of that was all the music I'd been listening to that had heavily influenced me. Yeah.
Oh, I love that. And another song.
And I think too, Paul was trying to lift America up because there's a lot of turmoil right now.
Well, I wanted it to be a positive album.
Yeah.
And I want to pay my respects to American music. Really, generally, there's been so much infighting and confusion and division. Politically, probably. I'm probably speaking of politically, which doesn't come into music. And music brings it all together. And that's he
has opinions. He has opinions already.
Like,
yeah, power to the people.
Love it.
Oh yeah. Sorry. Yeah. We'll see what his first word. Maybe it'll be Free. Maybe it'll be Badco.
It'll probably be Dada.
Dada, Mama.
Oh, I'm also trying to, and this segues into the new album as well. Our cats' names. Either GB, you have your GD, we have a GB, and Blackie, our tuxedo cat. But you have a song
for good boy.
It stands for my wife's grandpa Bill. That's what it stands for. Yeah.
Aw, that's sweet. That's very sweet.
Bill, nice.
And I guess a segue, because I heard part of the story about the cat, which I'll let you finish, is that the main cat, her cat that she's had forever, in college and living alone before she met me, it took him 6 months to like me. He would always walk away, he would hiss, he would run. Then just one day he curled up in my arms, and it's kind of been like that since. He's like me. He's still got a little attitude. You got to pay him respects, but he rubs me, he sleeps with me, and it's just like, wow, like a cat's love is always. Yeah, you okay? What- he's a hairball. Speaking of cats, I guess. See, that's a segue. So please tell me about the song that you were inspired by your cats on the new album.
Well, it was Sheriday. It was a rescue cat, rescued by my dear wife here. You tell it.
Oh, well, Sheriday was at the SPCA, and I went in because they were going to be doing a major euthanization on Thursday. This was Sunday. They were looking for fosters. So I went in with my girlfriend, and she said, "Oh, you've got to come and see this cat. It's terrible. The note on the cage says she's badly matted." And I said, "What?" Or badly mauled, badly mauled. And I said, "Oh dear." And I go, "Oh geez, that's terrible." So we go over to the cage and we're looking at her, and she's beautiful. She's a chocolate point Siamese, and she's a senior. And I thought, well, I don't see her being badly mauled. She looks pretty good. And then I looked closer and I said, "Patty, it says badly matted, not mauled." And she went, "Oh, okay." So she attempts to walk away. And I said, "Wait a second though. Still, just because she's not mauled doesn't mean we shouldn't consider fostering her."
Jeez.
So I said to the lady, I said, "What's the story with this cat?" And the lady was very nasty, I have to say. She said, "Oh, this cat is a bee and I just hate her." And I was like, "It's a cat." I was shocked. I know. So I said, "Well, I'll foster her." She goes, "Well, good, because if you don't, she's going to be euthanized on Thursday." I said, "Okay, I'll take her." So she got a box. They were putting them in boxes in those days, and you just drop them down, the lid closes, and then they have little air holes above.
Yeah.
So she grabbed Sheriday and scruffed her. She came named. Her owner had passed and the kids didn't want her. So she scruffed her. An adult cat did not support her legs at all, and put her in this box. And I thought, oh my word, that's terrible. And Sheriday turned and scratched her. So this woman now has severe scratches on her arms. The blood is dripping off of her elbow. And she's got just profanity, like potty mouth, throws her in this box and hands her to me, says, "Good luck." So I get Sheriday home and I'm thinking, this cat just needs love. She just needs love. So I'm trying to give her love and it's not happening. I go into the bed and she's like, she gets up on top of the bed, stands on her hind legs to make herself larger. And
yeah, you told me about her when I was on
you
tour.
were in
so
England, yeah.
I came back from touring and I was expecting this wildcat. And I said, "Well, where's this wildcat then? It can't be that bad." So she said, "Come with me." And she put her on oven mitts, right, up to the elbow.
Oh, wow.
And I'm looking at her and she gets a bin lid. Or was it, what was it?
It was a pillow.
A pillow. And she puts a big apron on. And I said, "Oh, come on, let's take a look. It can't be that bad." We opened the door, like, but to slam the door shut. I said, "Oh, I see what you mean now." Yeah.
Wow.
Paul said, "Could we maybe just like make a little walkway for her and guide her out into the yard and she can just go?" I said, "No, we can't do that." So anyhow, we ended up, the curtain rods that are extendable.
Sure.
Okay. So I got a hairbrush and I tied it onto the end of that. And then I extended it out to try to stroke her with that. Well, this thing was coming overhead. It made it even worse. But I would go in to feed her and clean her litter. And she would just, chase me basically. She cornered my girlfriend, Patty.
Yeah.
She was like hell on four paws.
Yeah.
And then when
she was hard work.
She was hard work. But in
the poor
end,
thing,
she had a lot of fear.
Abandoned and abused.
Sure.
Yeah.
It's all about fear. So anyhow, she would stand at our front door, and when people would come in, she would wait and she would block them from coming in. And they'd be, "Oh, okay, what's the deal with this cat?" And I said, "You just have to tell her she's beautiful and she'll let you in." And they went, "Okay." So people go, "You're beautiful." And I go, "Name's Sheriday." I have to use her name. And I said, just, they were like, "Oh my God. Okay. You're very beautiful, Sheriday." And I said, "Now be sincere." They'd be like, "Oh, you're very beautiful, Sheriday."
She also had this thing as well, where when people were looking at her and they were trying to be nice to her tail would go slap on the floor like this.
Yeah.
And I'd say, okay,
Enough.
don't touch it.
Yeah.
That's enough. Yeah. Because she was, peed off at that point.
Yeah.
Tail would whack, whack, whack.
So anyhow, one day I was going to love on her, always trying to love her, make that connection. And she kept walking away. So I'd spend my life bent over trying to love this cat all around the house. So Paul heard me say, "Sheriday, I can't love you if you keep walking away."
And I went, bing, that's a great opening line for a song.
And the song became "Take Love."
Yeah.
Oh, I love that. Thank you for sharing that story. And yeah, that cats are. I learned a lot. I was not a cat person. Because I'm allergic to dogs, so I thought I was allergic to
Oh,
cats, and I'm really allergic to cats. I had to get shots for about like a year because
Really?
we had three at one point. They're all senior cats, and I
yeah.
couldn't. I was like suffocating in my own home. Uh,
Uh,
so I wasn't inspired to write a song by it. I was inspired to go to the allergist, but still, I identify with yeah, they just need love, and I'm glad something great came
yeah.
out of it.
Well, we are
Uh,
not cat or dog people. We both aren't we?
Animal
We
people.
we just we often have a dog as well. We had one last a rescue called Saxon. He was a
Yeah.
big Doberman,
Doberman. He was, yeah.
and he'd been abandoned pretty much at the shelter. Nobody wanted him. When we went in, he would sit there and go like this. He looked
Yeah.
so forlorn.
He did.
And the actual shelter gave him to us. They said, just take him. Just take him.
Yeah.
He'll probably only last a couple of years, but we've had him here so
he
long.
lived 7 years.
Yeah.
He was 14. A Doberman, a large breed Doberman.
Yeah.
14 when he passed.
Yeah, it's the brightest
Oh, he was sweet.
spark on the.
He was incontinent for 4 years, but we had that all worked out. I'd get up in the morning, go, we don't have a brown cat. And then it was like, oh dear. Okay, there was another wool carpet out the door.
that's
But
funny.
we loved him.
He was such a gentleman, you know, he was such a guy. Yeah.
Love it. Yeah, that's great. So other than animals and cats, because I don't want to keep you here forever. We've been hanging out for a couple hours in general, not just for this interview. Anything else inspire or you want people to take away, I guess, from this album? Because it took you a while to get here. So what do you want people to take away from it?
You know, there's hope. If you've got a health issue or a problem, there's hope. And you got to believe that you can get better. Your body is a magical instrument. It's amazing. If you can give it the right materials, the right nutrients, yes, that sort of thing, and do the right exercises. Because, you know, there's a thing called Qigong that I do, which is a kind of moving meditation. And it encourages the lymphatic system to function. The lymphatic system is just under the skin. In a dead body, in a kind of you won't find the lymphatic system. It's kind of dies with the body, but it's there under the skin, and it doesn't circulate by itself. It needs movement to circulate it. There's a massage you can do, or you can do yoga or qigong, because these kind of movements, they encourage the lymphatic system to work, and it pours the toxins out of your system, and you pee them away. And drink lots of water.
But there, Paul should maybe talk about Coming Home, because there was inspiration for that song.
Okay.
What was that one? Let me see.
Yeah, tell me about that one. Because
actually, it's really it was my response to the first responders, because without them, I mean, because of them, we can walk around in freedom and make music, make rock and roll, or be a plumber, or be a DJ, or be a whatever
father,
we are,
mother,
a father, you know, all of the above. Because of the first responders, they're there, you know, and I'm so proud of them. They're so good. The firefighters, the nurses, the doctors,
all the military people, ambulance, you know,
all the people that keep society and our thing like safe.
Police too.
Yeah, police too.
You know, they keep order.
Yeah.
So that song was inspired by them.
And dedicated to them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Paul through the years has met a number of military people.
Yes. Beautiful people.
Yeah.
And I mean, I remember that one guy, I gave him that little cross, and he took it away. I was wearing it. And he gave him the cross. And he was so touched. He was, I'll wear this next time I'm in the field. I was like, yeah, well, keep your head down, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. He was Afghanistan.
Yeah. Paul also, after his strokes, did some therapy. We haven't talked about this. It was equine therapy with Mustangs at a facility called Living Free in California, in Idlewild, California, Mountain Center, actually. And so he would work with a horse. How was that experience for you?
Well, it was, the horse was unbelievable. It was called something off MASH. What was that? Radar. Not radar. Was it radar?
I think so. I think you're right.
Or he was
it's been a few.
How would you? Because I'm fascinated how you would work with the horse. I'm not familiar at all with that kind of therapy.
This horse and this guy,
Ray.
Ray, yeah. what I should remember the name of the horse.
I think it was Radar.
Yeah,
Paul.
Radar. Actually the horse worked with me, and he was unbelievable. And Ray has this thing of he gentles the horse. It's not he doesn't break a horse.
It. Yeah.
He gentles it. These are wild Mustangs. Were wild Mustangs, and he has them doing all these things like at the point of his finger. Instead of a rope, it just goes like over here, like this, and they will do anything he says. And I had them doing the same thing. It was just a wonderful experience. And it's like the horse understands. He's a very therapeutic horse, and he's so large. You're a bit intimidated by this large horse. Actually, it was a small horse, but it's big next to me,
Sure.
Because he's a Mustang, But he had them doing all kinds of things. Just by moving his body, he would tell it what to do. It's incredible.
And the thing about this therapy is for post-traumatic stress people. So after Paul's strokes, there was some of that going on, and they work with the military. They work with first responders. People are welcome to go up and work with these horses.
Ray does.
Yes, Ray does.
Yeah.
Living Free.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's I said to you off air, and it's of course the special that was on CBS. The interview, it's nothing short of a miracle to not just come through and be healthy, but to thrive and to sound like classic Paul Rodgers on this new album. It's nothing short of a miracle. So, I mean, just congratulations, and we're all so happy for you.
Well, I've got to say as well, just before we go, is that for me, it absolutely is a miracle, because I thought, okay, God, I'm finished with my life is over. Many, many times throughout this, I thought my life's over. I accept that, and I'm done. But I came through it, and therefore God wants me to do something. I don't know what it is. Probably make music, I think. So, but I felt that. Yeah.
And one thing that happened in 2016 was Paul had
the great creator.
Heart incident. And based on his genetics, I knew that heart disease and stroke ran in his family. So he was saying, I don't feel right. I don't feel good. I've got some pain here, and I'm going to go lay down. I think it's acid reflux. And I said, well, if you lay down and it goes away, it's not acid reflux. I think it's your heart. So we called our naturopath, Dr. Dan Johnson, and I told him what Paul was experiencing. And he said, take him to emergency immediately. So I took him into emergency. This is in February of 2016. And him being his charming self, meets the receptionist, and I'm standing behind him. And the receptionist says, hello. And he goes, hi, love, how are you? And he starts this conversation. So I'm standing behind him, pointing to his heart, looking at her like it's his heart. She goes, let's take you in right away. So they took him in right away and got him going on some meds. And the cardiologist came in and said, how are you feeling after about half an hour? Excuse me. But after half an hour, the cardiologist came in, Dr. Himmelman, and said, how are you feeling? And Paul said, I feel pretty good. And, probably ready to go. And Dr. Himmelman said, well, as it stands right now, there's no damage to your heart. You got here in time. 10 minutes later, and you would have had a full-on widowmaker heart attack and probably wouldn't be here. So Paul said, and the doctor said, so I can guarantee you one thing. If you leave right now, doesn't matter how close your car is parked to the hospital, you will have that full-on widowmaker heart attack. So do you still want to stay, or do you want to go? And Paul said, yeah, I'll be staying. And then they waited to stabilize him. And then 2 days later, he had surgery, and they put in 1 stent, which isn't bad. I know people who have 8 stents. So that was good. And then the strokes were very mild. They were very sneaky. It was a really bad headache. It was some blurred vision. It was a sense of loss of balance. Very, very, the TIAs are very subliminal.
But the major strokes.
Yeah. And then,
I had 2 of those.
Yeah. And the second one, he was in the hospital when he had that major stroke, because we knew something wasn't quite right. And that was a good thing, because what happened was he stroked while he was in the hospital, was talking to me, and all of a sudden he was saying, do you and I just looked at him, and I thought, okay, this is really happening now. So I just remained very calm, and I said, you know what, sweetie, I think you're just very tired. You just need to close your eyes and rest. And he told me that was the best thing I could have done, because I was very calm. He was very calm. He thought, well, if she's not worried, then I'm not going to worry.
I'll just sleep it off. And actually, I did sleep it off, although it was not quite slept off. But I was a bit better when I came round, wasn't I?
You couldn't speak. So when I went to the nurse's station, as he laid back, I went to the nurse's station. I said, I need the cardiologist here, please. I need the neurologist. I need the speech pathologist. All the ologists, hold the proctologist. We don't need him or her. I said, but I need those people here. So within an hour, they all gathered and went into the room. And the speech pathologist started to work with Paul right away on his language. But it took, about a week and a half before he could formulate words. And then the neurologist was working with him too. And it was funny because the neurologist held up a picture and said, what do you see in this picture? And I said to the neurologist, I said, he wears glasses. Should he put them on? And he went, oh, yes, that's a good idea. So he put the glasses on, and then he was trying to explain what was happening in the picture, but he didn't have his language.
Yeah, the thing is, I could formulate it in my mind, but it didn't translate to vocal,
right,
to my speech, whatever the system is that you actually use, your brain uses to make them words come out. It's very strange. So you know exactly what you want to say. It's all there. Yeah.
And then we were transferred out of that hospital because they wanted to do the endarterectomy.
The middle of the night, wasn't it?
Yeah, well, 11 o'clock at night.
Okay.
So we took him to Kelowna, to a larger hospital, where again they observed him for 2 days, and then they did the surgery, and then it was a long recovery after the surgery.
Yeah.
But very, very lucky, that I was just praying that he could just walk and talk with me again. That's all that was on my checklist. So what I would do is I would have his guitar out, and I would have it in the case, and I would lift the lid, and he would come and he would put the lid down. And that went on for weeks. And then one day, many months later, he finally pulled it out. There were little bits, like I would hear a twang every once in a while, and I'd come in to make sure it wasn't one of the cats. And it was Paul. He would just go across the strings. And then months later, I saw him with the guitar on his lap, playing it with two hands, pushing the guitar away, like a slide guitar, and then that's how he started. That's how he started back. But to have him do this album, whatever Beyond a Miracle is, that's what this is.
It's inspiration, and it can show what could be done, and it also shows that we all. I think I got one. We need a wife like Cynthia who's there.
Yeah.
I don't want to. Well, for sure. Sorry, I don't mean to cut you off there, but just before we get out of here, because again, I'm keeping you forever. If you can't tell behind me, the name of the podcast, Appetite for Distortion, Guns N' Roses. And I guess the segue is because we're talking about heart issues. And I mean, Slash has a pacemaker in, and you've played with Slash several times throughout the years, solo and with Bad Company. So if we can play what I call a 6 degrees of GNR Bacon, Guns N' Roses Bacon, if you could talk about playing with Slash, and do you have any Guns N' Roses stories, perhaps, in your
not Guns N' Roses particularly, but Slash. Yeah. Well, let me think about Slash, because he's such a great guy. I remember I met him a long time ago when we were at the Great American Disaster in San Francisco, and he came up for a jam, and he was just brilliant. I actually did Woodstock with him as well, the birthday of Woodstock. That was great as well.
Actually, we and then when Paul, you got an award from the LA Music Association. Joe Walsh gave you the award, but Slash came and played with you on that. That was a few years ago. Oh. And then recently, Paul was playing at the CMTs to honor Gary Rosington from Lynyrd Skynyrd, and so we were in touch with Slash, and I said to Slash, so are you going to do the
CMT?
CMT? He goes, yeah, I committed because they said Paul was doing it. And I said, oh, okay. I said, well, we're talking to them, but we hadn't committed. He went, oh, and I said, but no. If you're committed, we'll commit too. So we went and saw him there, and he's a good man. And in fact,
He's a great guy.
when we reached out to friends to put it out on social media about the release of the album, we reached out to Jimmy Page, and we reached out to Slash and a few other people. And Slash and Jimmy were the ones who jumped on board and really promoted it. And Slash in particular really got behind this album.
Yes.
He's a good friend. He's a good friend.
Yeah.
And you could call it the Guns and Roses instead of turkey bacon. Turkey bacon.
Well, he counts because obviously he's in Guns N' Roses, and yeah, they hear those stories. I appreciate that because you have done so many jams. Thank you for your time.
Well,
Thank
can
you
I
both.
just say one more
please.
thing too?
Well, I'm on your time. I'm on your time now.
Okay, my niece is 14 years old, and she loves she loves Slash. She absolutely loves Slash. So they're playing in Vancouver in October. So for an early Christmas gift for her, we bought her tickets for the Pit. So I sent Slash an email. And I said, thanks for making our Christmas shopping so easy. And then also, Slash doesn't know this yet, but my niece recently got married and she loves Slash. And for her sister's wedding, I hired this amazing Canadian singer named Alfie Zappacosta, who has tell me, you talk about Alfie's
He's got
voice.
a wonderful voice, really wonderful voice. His range is phenomenal, and his depth of emotion is just so great. He writes great songs.
Yeah, live. And the album is Dark Sided Jewel, but live, no one can touch him. He's unbelievable. So anyhow, I hired him for Tamara's wedding because I said, would you like money or would you like Alfie Zappacosta? And she said, Alfie Zappacosta. And I said, okay. So he was hired for Tina's wedding, actually. And then Tracy came to me and she said, Auntie, when I get married, could you hire Slash for me? And I was like, likely not. And she said, okay, I understand. But anyhow, Slash was out on tour during her wedding. But what I did was I had a Slash costume. And then our granddaughter, Uma, she came as mini Slash, and I crashed the wedding, with the leather jacket and the pants. And I came in and I was like, babe, Tracy. And she was like, Slash. And I was like, tell me I'm not too late. Tell me you didn't get married. And she goes, no, I did. And I go, we got to get it annulled. And then she's looking at Uma because Uma's got the black hair too, and the hat and the bandana wrapped around. And she goes, what's this? And I said, you don't remember that night we had in LA like 3 years ago? And it was so funny. So I have to show Slash some of those pictures.
Oh, that's funny.
Paul said, you look like so much like Slash. I was going to ask for your autograph.
She certainly looked like a rock star, that's for sure. Yeah,
I have to tell Slash about that. He'll get a kick out of it.
Oh, that's funny. And I'll just say this because baby, that's why it's quiet on my end now. My wife took baby Brownstone because he's sleeping again. I posted random pictures for National Sons Day of Harrison wearing Guns N' Roses stuff and Maury dressing him up in. And Amazon, like the Amazon, their ex Twitter account contacted me, loving the pictures and wanting to send him gifts. So, and it's true. A few emails exchanged. They sent him stuff, and I'm like, what are they gonna send him? We have no idea. Like, what else does he like?
Right.
So they sent him a mini top hat meant for a dog, but it's a mini top hat for Slash. And my wife and I, we couldn't believe it. We actually put the unboxing. So cool. The unboxing is online if you want to watch it. They sent him a leather jacket. We wanted a leather jacket so bad, and we were like, should we spend money for one? He's gonna go out of it, and so they sent us a leather jacket. They sent us an ABC's book on rock that has
wow.
Some blue stuff. For Amazon for doing nothing for free.
Wow.
That's really lovely. That's the best thing I've ever heard.
Yeah, that is nice. So have you met the boys? Have you met Slash and the boys?
I met Slash and Duff when they were in Velvet Revolver. As a fan, just getting autographs back then. I met some of the people that are not like the famous version of the band. And I haven't had any of those like the big names on the show. I've had Dizzy Reed, Richard Fortus. I've had like the newer people on the show. But I use the 6 Degrees of GNR Bacon to interview a lot of different people.
Well, Billy Duff, Paul did a track with Billy Duff, actually.
Duff McKagan?
No. Oh, sorry.
Or
I'm talking about Billy Duff from the
the
Clash.
cult?
The
Billy
Cult.
Duff?
The Cult.
Yeah. Who has
Yeah.
been on the podcast? Billy
Who's a
Duffy.
lovely guy.
Yeah.
Lovely guy.
Great guitarist as
What was
well.
that for? Oh, that's for Matt Sorum's project.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
it's not really.
Well,
not really public on that. Actually,
Matt Sorum we can. The other one we can't.
Oh, yeah.
But just keep your eyes on Slash.
Sure. And Matt Sorum, then maybe that's a Kings of Chaos thing in the future.
Yes,
But
yes,
Matt Sorum has been on the podcast. Super nice guy. He actually gave me, because I like to incorporate family into the conversation, and it helps. He gave me baby swaddling advice before he was born. He's like, you got to do the double swaddle. I was on the phone with Nikki Sixx, who we're trading swaddling advice for our new babies.
Yes. Oh,
So it's
that's
a trip.
fantastic. Yeah, Matt is a lovely man. We winter in Palm Springs, so we get to see him when we're down there, which is nice. Yeah, and he's got a really beautiful studio there. It's called Good Noise.
Yes.
It's a beautiful studio.
He's currently out there with another inspirational artist, Paul. He's out there with Rick Allen, doing their drum circle thing. Where they do it for healing, for veterans too. Anyone who needs healing through drum circles. They get a lot of big name drummers to participate in this. Yeah,
that's very cool.
Excellent. Yes.
Yeah, he's really a Renaissance man, Matt.
Yes, he's a man of many talents.
He is. He really is. Yeah.
Well, so are you, and so are both of you, Cynthia and Paul. Thank you for your time. I mean, you've given me more than enough time. Thank you for being such a awesome coworker. Can I call him that the last couple of days too?
You get a raise, sir.
I'm leaving that in the podcast. Maybe my boss will hear it. Well, thank you so much, and I hope we get to talk again and just continue.
Absolutely.
Best of luck and health and everything.
Okay, yeah, thank you so much,
you
Brendan.
too.
Take care.
Yeah.
Check out Hyperbarics, okay?
Yeah,
I will. Just two really, really good people. And just congrats to them for getting this far, sticking together, and creating an album out of it. She was a producer on it and helped with the artwork. So definitely a Paul and Cynthia project. And Cynthia was there not just because it's of her involvement in the record, but Paul, even though he's healthy now, he's got to take it easy. And these interviews that are typically, mine was a little different. 10 minutes back to back to back. It takes a lot out of you. And usually we don't give breaks to people. It's usually, like I said, back to back to back to back for a couple hours. But here we had some breaks. Because his health is more important than an interview. And even after he was finished with all the radio stations today, we took a break before we spoke. So just thank you again to both of them, Cynthia and Paul, for giving me the time, giving us the time today, an appetite for distortion. Coming up next episode, that long-awaited, long-awaited interviews. It's going to be in the same episode. Desmond Child, of course, in the Songwriters Hall of Fame, and repeat guest of the show. And we're going to get Jared Weeks from the band Saving Abel, who has a 6 degrees of Duff McKagan you will never guess. When will that episode be out? In the words of Axl Rose concerning Chinese democracy, I don't know if soon is the word, but you'll see it.